Hey YouTube. Yeah, I know I didn't upload last week. I forgot and I was really busy. I'm in my car. It's nighttime. As you can tell, all right, it's nighttime. Um, Today I want to make a quick video. I always say quick video, right? Um, it's about science and it's also about the universe. Things happen for a reason, I suppose, right? But let's start with what I just said right there at the end of my sentence. Um, you know, Throughout my entire time in college, I told myself I want to become a psychology major. I want to get my master's in applied behavior analysis and help people because studying behavior for me was like the ultimatum, right, of science. If you could change behavior, you could pretty much change anything. And then the job I have right now, my weekday job, anyways, it's I'm a registered behavior tech, right? And yes, I like it, right? It's decent. The pay is horrible. The hours are they're okay, but I thought to myself, this isn't something I want to do for God knows how many years, right? For the rest of I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I don't want to be that much of a good guy, right? Anyways, so about two, yeah, 1 or 2 years ago, I like I said, I applied to a master's, right? And then something in my gut told me, hey, chill, quit. We'll come back to this sometime later. It just doesn't feel right. And then when I actually got a job in the field of applied behavior analysis, right now, thinking back, I was like, wow, my gut feeling from back then, I- it was, it wasn't a coincidence. That much is for sure. Things happen for a reason, I suppose, right? My gut told me to wait, and I waited through whatever my adventure through then and now told me that, hey, maybe this isn't for me. Because before I got the job, that was when I told you I started trying to, I was getting my life back together. And I've realized that the only thing that could help that is the way you think, right? Nothing exterior could reinforce your behavior, right? Nothing exterior could reinforce your behavior for it to increase into the future, right? That's just superficial. That's just visual stuff. You could change the behavior, but you can't change the mind. Yes, I could say this, I could say that, but if I don't feel it here, if I don't think it here, then ABA, in my opinion, is pretty much very, 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 very limited. Yes, yes, they acknowledge that private events exist, but they don't really pay attention to that. Which is, I believe, it's a very major. Well, then again, psychology's flaw is victimizing the person. Like, oh, it's not your fault. You went through this, and blah 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 blah. Oh, it's okay. This and that. But that's another topic. That's for another day. Um. So yeah, all this time it brought me to this, and I was like, wow, was I really about to get myself in debt for $40,000 plus interest for the rest of my life? And the requirements are so rigorous for no reason. It's not my fault that some guy in the 80s and the 90s messed up fucked up the entire field for the people now, right? Because of them, we're like, oh, you must do this every single month. You must do this every single year. And guess what? The pay doesn't even really justify it, right? And that's another thing. I've realized that just because a job or a field, whatever, right, it's in high demand, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing. If it's in high demand, there's probably a reason why it's in high demand. Unconventional wisdom, I guess, is what I'll drop. Maybe the pay is shit. Maybe the requirements are so rigorous to the point where it doesn't justify the benefits that you have, right? And plus, if you're the one always with the client or always doing the dirty work and you're not supervisor, actually no, yeah, that's another topic for another story. But just because something is in high demand doesn't mean it's a good thing. Yes, we need more people with HVAC experience. It's in high demand, yeah. Is it good? I would say yeah. I have some experience with HVAC, so I would say yeah. It's pretty decent. It's just sometimes it's just it just gets a little tricky. Especially because everything's case by case. Homes, residential, whatever, right? And that brings me to my other topic, science. Science. Actually, let me bring back my thought I had about psychology to this point. Yes, as you know, I majored in psychology. Yes, I've learned in psychology, yes, you are the way you are because of your experiences. Boo hoo hoo. You should feel bad about yourself. Boo hoo hoo. Accept yourself and your limitations. It's everyone else's fault. But even though it's everyone else's fault, try to treat yourself good. What kind of bullshit is that? And then I come to think about other majors in the STEM, right? STEM or whatever you want to call it, right? They're just equally as stupid, if not worse. Yeah, if not worse, right? Especially people who are trying to do coding, IT, all that stuff. Bro, your job, you're cooked. You're cooked, man. AI, you're cooked. I'm cooked too. But I'm not giving up. You shouldn't either. And then I come to think, hey, why doesn't psychology teach you that it's your choice, it's your fault if you continue to think a certain way for the rest of your life? Because it is. Whatever happens outside is out of your control, obviously. That's probably one of the only things I agree with in psychology now. But it's your responsibility to make it better. No one else. No one else can do that but you. No amount of medication, no amount of therapy is ever going to help you. You could only help yourself. That's it. That's what it all comes down to. And yes, you can make the argument, oh, what if someone has schizophrenia? What if someone has bipolar? What if someone has whatever, severe psychological disorder? And then that's where I would say that's an exception, right? Because I believe outside of normal people, like let's say with, depression, right? Someone with anxiety, not necessarily an anxiety disorder, but like let's just say anxiety or stuff like that. Normal people with normal psychological functioning should be okay. But I feel like people with those type of mental conditions, they should be needing those type of psychological help, right? They should be receiving those type of psychological services. I feel like that would be the only exception. But another issue with that is government funding. At least what I remembered in psychology is that, let's say you have schizophrenia, right? There's a, don't quote me on this, but if I remember correctly, there's a significant chance of someone with schizophrenia to to be homeless. And it's like, bro, what the fuck, that's fucked up, man. That's an American citizen right there. And oopsie, those are my keys. And then I come to think, then why is treating schizophrenia so expensive? It's like over $1 million per person. Like, okay, we could send money to greedy tiny hats, satanic tiny hats in the Middle East. We could send them billions, and we could send billions more to Ukraine, but we can't spare any for Americans, for us, to make our lives better. Ah, nah. We gotta give our blackmailers money, right? Anyways, yeah, I would say outside of that, psychology is pretty much useless. Pretty much useless. Same thing with political science, right? Political science is pretty much useless. We're infiltrated. What need is there to know political science if we're infiltrated? If we're infiltrated, what's the point of learning math? Maybe basic math. Yes, I need to know how to add, divide, subtract, multiply. But why do I need to know where A is? You know? Calculus, whatever. It's just imaginary equations, numbers, as they stated themselves. And a lot of fundings and organizations that are given, a lot of organizations, individuals that fund science, even now is compromised. So it's like, what is there really to trust in science other than the essential stuff like I mentioned? If we're talking about psychology, treatment for people with schizophrenia, autism, that's another one, autism, right? or I guess I would say, what would be an example outside of psychology? I guess medicine, if we're talking about in the herbal sense, if we're talking about like non-political stuff, maybe pre-COVID 19, right? If we're talking about pre that, then I would say somewhat, right? But yeah, that's my opinion, and I'll probably be uploading another video later this week to make up for last week, and obviously have a video this week too. Anyways, good night.